Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm Brenda Winkle, an intuitive leadership coach and somatic guide for high performers, high achievers who want more freedom, ease, joy, and energy. You are a visionary leader, driven, intuitive, and ready for more. More flow in your work, more presence and joy in your life and relationships, more trust in yourself and the decisions you make every day. Here, we explore the intersection of intuition, leadership, and energetic sovereignty, blending practical strategy with energetic alignment so you can create success that feels deeply fulfilling at work, at home, in your relationships, and in your own well-being. You'll hear inspiring stories, practical strategies, and high-level conversations designed to help you integrate the woo into your daily life. Because when your energy is aligned, everything flows. Ready to elevate how you lead and live? Start by downloading my free energy audit at brendawinkle.com/audit and discover what's fueling or depleting you. Let's do this. Your yes-filled life starts now. Hello, and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. Today on the podcast, we have Cam Kashani, who's known as the spiritual surgeon, and I think you're going to really love this conversation. One of the things I say inside this episode is how I believe so deeply that accessing your intuition is the key to the biggest unlock. Because when you learn how to access and trust your intuition, you don't have to rely on people outside of you. You know how sometimes, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking for myself here, maybe you don't relate to this, but have you ever had to make a decision by a committee where you had to ask everybody what they thought before you did that thing? Well, when you learn to trust your intuition, you stop doing that. And so that's one of the big reasons that I wanted to really double down on the table of woo, is because I want to teach you how to access your intuition. And I also want to provide a resource for psychics, mystics, healers, seers, and seekers. So it won't be just for the spiritually curious. It'll also be for the experts, a little bit of something for everyone. And I'm really, really excited because this first episode is talking about two super common blocks in the chakra system, the sacral chakra and the heart chakra. And I had intended actually to talk to you about the sacral and the throat chakra, but Spirit intervened and said, nope, that's not what we need today. So I followed, and we'll talk about the throat chakra another time. You can go listen to the Table of Woo podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and it's a whole lot more woo than your yes-filled life, which leads me to something that I really want to talk about, which is the concept of consent. It would have been so easy for me to just rebrand this podcast and then start talking about totally new content. But I realized that if I did that, I would be doing so without your consent. So that's why Your Yes-Filled Life is continuing on its current trajectory, and the Table of Woo has now come into existence. So if you want something with a lot more readings and a lot more of the woo, go listen to the Table of Woo podcast. Now, speaking of chakras, which I'm talking about inside that episode, I'm hosting a chakra workshop. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of the sales webinars disguised as workshops. That's not this. This is actually a chakra workshop where we're going to be looking at the chakra system. We're going to be looking at how to identify blocks and how to clear blocks. Now, why does this matter to you? What does it even look like in real life? Well, here's an example. If you have a block root chakra, you might find yourself worried about money. You might find yourself worried about security and feeling insecure. You might also experience low back pain or hip pain. And so if those things are happening at the same time, where you're worried about family, money, security, and you're experiencing low back or hip pain, also leg pain, it can be an indicator of an imbalance in that root chakra. That's one example. Another example that's really common for most of us is our throat chakra. Have you ever had a time when you had something really important to say? Maybe it was a conversation that you needed to have, Or maybe you were getting ready to give a talk and then you noticed that like you had a little frog in your throat or a crack in your voice, or maybe even lost your voice completely. Well, that's an indication that something is going on with the throat chakra. And when you know what to do to support that, then it becomes a lot less bigger deal because you'll know how not to lose your voice. Gosh, this would have done me good all those years as a choir director, because before every single concert, I had something come up with my voice before every concert. And let me tell you, there was no shortage of concerts in my choral career. So some other ways that chakras can impact your real life are they can actually impact your thoughts in a way that like doesn't feel aligned for you. So for example, if you've been isolating from people and that's not typical for you and you're feeling lonely and you're feeling kind of sad, it can indicate that something's going on with your heart chakra. And so that's one of the things we talk about inside the Table of Woo in that very first episode. So at the chakra workshop, we're going to be talking about all seven chakras of the major chakras because there's lots and lots of chakras you have in your body. We're only talking about the seven major ones. And we'll be talking about specific things that you can do and say and eat and yoga postures and hand mudras to support each individual chakra. And then if you want to continue on in learning about chakras, I'm going to share with you a way that you can get certified in Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, which is where you get your symbols so you can start to practice distance Reiki. So if you're curious about that, click the link in your show notes or go to brendawinkle.com/chakra. And it's $111 per household, which means listen to my throat chakra. Listen to my throat chakra, which means that you could invite your friends and you could watch it together in your house and you could have a little watch party. And there will be some oh, can't talk. There will be some breakout activities, but you guys could just break out in your living room if that's the case for you. So go learn more and register at brendawinkle.com/chakra. And I'm not going to edit out that throat chakra part because I want you to hear like there was something going on in my throat chakra when I told you the price of $111. So I just want to leave that in there as a real life example. Why did my throat chakra go off like that? Well, because I have been in a habit of teaching workshops literally for free. I teach free master classes all the time, and I'm stopping doing that because I have a business to run and I haven't been generating the revenue that I need to generate in order to feel really secure in the business, which means that I have to start charging for some of those workshops. And so that it's not doubt about what I'm doing, but it's just like it's not doubt. What is it? It's insecurity. So there's a little bit of like, oh, I'm changing things on people and I'm no longer offering all these free master classes. And wouldn't you know, my throat chakra is telling you all about it. Okay, so let's learn a little bit about Cam Kashani. Cam Kashani is known as the spiritual surgeon, and she helps women identify and heal their wounds, embodying their authentic power, and uses a combination of intuitive coaching and spiritual psychology. She has her doctorate in spirituality and is an inspirational speaker. Throughout her years, she's coached hundreds of people and her speaking has reached thousands. She's been named one of the most inspirational women by Inc. magazine and been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, LA Magazine, the Los Angeles Times, Delta Sky Magazine, and more. She's built 4 companies and been an expert speaker with the U.S. State Department in a program proven to ward off extremism by empowering the women and youth overseas. She was sent to both Kuwait and Bahrain to spread her light. Her most recent company, Divinius LVX, which translates to divine light, is focused on ushering women into their divine feminine. Cam has her doctorate in spirituality, her MBA in entrepreneurship and marketing, and her degree in advanced spiritual psychology. She's happily married to the love of her life and is mom of twin boys. I'm so excited for you to meet Cam Kashani. Hi, Cam. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Me too. I was telling you just before we hit record, I've got those full body tingles that come in when there's like some big download coming through or some big
Hey.
thing we need to talk about. So I can't wait.
I love it. I love it. I feel it.
Yeah, me too. So to kick it off, let me just ask you a quick question, which is, what is one thing you either have done or did not do that led you to your yes-filled life?
That's such a good question. It would be one thing I consistently do, which is choosing to heal versus sitting in a victim consciousness.
Mm, hmm.
So making that decision, and it's a choice every day. It's a choice every day that I choose me versus giving my power away.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could just applaud. Yes.
Okay, and we're done. I'm
And
just
we're
kidding.
done. That was the mic drop moment. Yeah, there's so much there. You
Yeah,
know, the being willing to heal
yeah,
when you're on a healing journey, like so many listeners of Your Yes Filled Life are, it's easy to think that everyone's doing it. And the truth is, it's not everyone.
no,
It's really
no.
not. And it is a constant choice.
It is every single day. At some point, you kind of get used to it. Like, I don't know if I'm really choosing anymore. It's just my program now to go
Agreed.
to go in that direction, right? But
Hmm.
when my healing journey first began, it was definitely a consistent choice, and it was difficult. It wasn't the default because we are programmed to be in victim consciousness. We're programmed to give our power away. We're programmed to believe there's something greater outside of us. We're programmed to blame. We're programmed to point fingers. We're programmed to say that's the problem instead of taking full responsibility. So
Hmm.
it takes a lot of courage
Hmm.
and, a radical self-responsibility.
Yes, and a willingness to be uncomfortable
Yeah.
because there's certain phases in a healing journey where you feel a little bit exposed, a little bit like a raw nerve as you're working through these things. Sometimes they feel a little worse before they begin to feel better.
I love how you say a little because I've had moments where it was extreme.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. The a little makes it sound more fun. But there were definitely moments where it feels like the entire weight of the world is on you. And in
Hmm.
a sense, it is because the world is a reflection of you.
That's right. And when we heal ourselves, we're also healing collective consciousness.
Absolutely.
And so in a sense, you're right. There is that feeling of responsibility. I
Well, I would be cautious not to say responsibility because we don't want to be responsible for anyone else's healing but our own,
I
right?
appreciate that clarification. And you're right.
Yeah.
I believe that as well. We
Yeah.
can't do something for someone else or to someone else.
Yeah.
And yet when we sign up for our own healing, it's just this beautiful gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
for the person that hasn't yet met you, can you tell us a little bit about your work and a little bit about yourself and how you show up in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am known as the spiritual surgeon. I have my doctorate in spirituality and my degree in spiritual psychology and my MBA. Nice and well-rounded. So I've been through many different chapters in life. Um, the work that I do, really, in one sentence, would be helping women heal their wounds and embody their power, to help
Mm,
them release the collective programming and release the collective conditioning to remember how incredibly powerful they are. And I say remember because it is something our bodies
mhm,
remember. It's not something our minds necessarily remember, although you can potentially tap into that through intense meditation, but it's a code. They're codes that are sitting in our bodies from other lifetimes and whatnot. So there's nothing I enjoy in this life more than seeing a woman come into her power. And I got into this work because I was severely disempowered.
me
I was a
too.
bully kid. There you go. Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah.
Feel it. You can, it's like a connection you feel, a
Hmm.
fellow sister. It's yeah, and I hated myself. I hated my life. I didn't want to be here. I had suicidal moments. I was bullied my whole life. I was in abusive relationships. I mean, I had no sense of self-worth, let alone any sense of self-responsibility and self-empowerment. None. I was a complete victim.
I resonate with that. I have always been wide open spiritually, could feel, see, sense, hear things other people couldn't. And when I realized somewhere between the ages of 7 and 8 that not everyone could perceive the things that I was perceiving and that it scared them, I took it underground and turned it into people pleasing. And
Wow.
so by the time I turned 35 or just before I turned 35, when I left an abusive marriage, I did not know myself because I had twisted myself into a complete pretzel for
Mm.
everyone else without realizing that I was completely self-abandoning. I was telling myself all this time I was helping, or
Yep.
aren't I good
Yep.
at reading people? Like this is such a gift, not realizing that like I didn't even know what I wanted to eat.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting, you bring up an interesting point because it's like I'm also very intuitive and can read people's energy, see, hear, feel, all those things, right? And when you are in an unconscious state, you think you're doing that, but you're actually projecting your own stuff onto the other person.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Right? Like you're not getting a clear signal because the universe, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, wants you to heal. So you're
Hmm.
getting all of this fluff in the middle of it. And there's all
Right.
projections in the middle of it. And you think you're doing a beautiful thing. You think you're being such a selfless, amazing person. And what are you doing? You're constantly betraying yourself.
Constantly betraying yourself
Mhm.
and also avoiding your own healing because it's everyone
Yes,
else that needs the healing.
I'm here to save everyone else.
That's right. Oh my gosh. I resonate with that. That was very much how my journey started is I was going to heal the world. In fact, so
Me too. Me too. That's what I used to say as a kid. I'm going to make the world a better place.
yes, yeah, exactly. I was always going to, help people, heal
Yeah,
people because at that time I believed that I could heal someone else, not understanding that the healing work we do is to be a conduit for
yeah,
healing, to be
yeah,
an empowerer. We're not the one that is empowering,
yes,
right? And
yeah.
there's a subtle but really important distinction.
Very important. We are the guides, we're the facilitators, we're the way showers, but to say that you are someone who is helping or saving or anything like that, again, disempowers the other person.
Absolutely.
And puts you in this like ego consciousness of I'm better, I know more, I've done more, I can take you there, right? Like the savior complex. And I've
Oh,
been there too.
been there too. And now I can see it and I recognize it. And I just am like, red flag, run the other
Yep.
way.
Yep.
So I'm wondering for people that are just coming into gifts,
Yeah.
perhaps they're admitting to themselves that they have psychic gifts or empathic gifts or mediumship gifts. Projection comes up for people
Yes.
and they don't know necessarily that it comes up.
Yeah.
So when you're working with someone who's newly coming into their gifts and developing, how do you help them discern a message from a projection?
It's such a good question. My first response to that would be a lot of time alone, just sitting with yourself and sitting in silence.
Hmm.
When I first came into my gifts, I had my gifts as a kid and then I shut them off, right? I was terrified and I didn't know what they were and unconsciously shut them off. They
Hmm.
came back to me full swing in like 2017 or 2018. And at first I didn't know what to do with it. And what really came through was two things. One is you need to remain grounded,
Hmm.
right? And because it's easy to get kind of taken away by all of it and think like, oh, I want to live in spirit land, right? So staying
Yes.
grounded,
Hmm.
staying grounded really, really helps to discern, am I actually getting a true signal here? Or is this my trauma, potentially speaking, or somebody else's trauma, whatever, potentially speaking?
Hmm.
It helps mitigate the difference. So groundedness is really, really important. And then a commitment to continue healing. Sometimes you're just not going to know. You're not going to know
Hmm.
until you heal whatever the thing is that is in the way. I didn't realize there were certain things I was projecting until I hit that next level of consciousness. I have
Yes.
to keep going. But I will say, that when it's the truth, there's a tingle that you feel in your body. And
Yes.
I feel it in my root and in my belly, right?
I love that.
Yeah, so that's why it's so important to spend time with yourself because you will know what your signal is. Is it going to hit you in your belly? Is it going to hit you in your heart? Where is it going to hit you in your body? You need to it's radical self-knowing. Just
Yes.
knowing yourself in every possible way.
In every possible way. It's so essential. The other thing that I have noticed, and I noticed it first in myself, was that when I was projecting, oftentimes there was a very subtle, oh my gosh, I'm so right feeling. Like I'm an ego kind of a thing. And that when I'm actually a clear channel for something, I don't have an emotionality about it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And maybe on the other side of that is, oh my God, am I right?
Oh,
Like
totally.
being in that head space, letting your head kind of take over is where you don't want to be,
That's right.
right? You really want to be centered. I like to do a meditation every time before channeling, just to make sure I'm really, really centered. Breathe through all my chakras, clear all my chakras, make sure I'm fully me, fully here.
I love that. I do that too. And if I don't do that, I regret it every single time.
Right? Yes, I know. I'm with you. You have to take care of yourself before you, this is again, taking care of yourself before anyone else. You
Hmm.
got to make sure you're centered, you're clear, you're grounded, you're fed, drink, eat, whatever it is that you have to do in order to be a channel.
I love that you say that because oftentimes we want to make it more complicated and we want to think that it is about something outside of us, like arranging the crystals in a particular pattern or, whatever it might be. And often it is just like, how am I caring for my body
Yep.
so that I have the resourcing to be able to be this channel?
Yeah, for me, if I'm not taking care of my body, there's no part of me that will do it. It's almost like a big energy comes over me that's like, no, we're not going there right now. I need to take care of me. I need to be in my power. I need to be in my alignment in order to be able to serve.
I love that. For me, it it's not quite that loud. It's more subtle. Like I'll notice tiredness
Hmm.
in my system. So I know that if I'm feeling tired, there's some little kink in my self-care. And so oftentimes it's like, oh, I'm tired. Can I push through it? Maybe. Should I? Absolutely not.
Right. And again, know thyself, right?
Hmm.
So you've spent enough time with yourself to be able to know that. It's
Hmm.
so, so important for us to do that.
Absolutely. So, for the women that come to you, what do you notice are a few common themes? Because, as we unpack all of the programming, I'm just curious, what are some common things?
I love that you said programming because that is probably the biggest thing.
Hmm.
It's women that are coming in with a sense of disempowerment, low self-worth or no self-worth. They are not connected to their truth or their voice, or maybe they don't even know their truth, let alone being able to speak it. They feel unfulfilled. They feel anxiety. They feel less than. They criticize themselves every day that they look in the mirror. They see somebody that they need to fix versus somebody to be absolutely in love with.
Hmm.
These are the common patterns, and this is mostly how women experience life.
You're right. It is how mostly women experience life. And it's so interesting because the people that have the worthiness wounds or the
Yeah.
core belief of unworthiness are often incredibly successful and
Yeah.
delightful and charismatic and have so much ability. And if you even ask them, do you have any issue with worthiness? 90% of them will say no.
Oh, yeah, of course. They say that, right? So the distinction is they say that, but do they show that?
Right, exactly.
Right? It's like I can tell you, I could have told you before I did the work like 15 years ago, I'm so worthy of true love and I'm so worthy of a man who treats me like amazingly and blah, blah, but I would show you the complete opposite. by allowing an abusive relationship, or allowing
Mhm.
less than friends, or not getting my worth at whatever my work is, whatever it is. It's what you're showing, it's who you are being,
Mhm.
not
Okay, so you've built this beautiful life and your successful career, powerful presence, and a calendar full of responsibilities that once lit you up, but lately something has made it feel just a little bit heavier. So let me ask you something. What if this was your moment to soften into a new way of leading? I'm Brenda Winkle, a psychic medium, somatic coach, and intuitive guide, and I work privately with high achieving women who are ready to trust themselves more deeply, to reclaim their energy, and lead from the inside out. In our one on one coaching together, you'll experience the kind of support that's both deeply spiritual and highly strategic. I'll bring my psychic gifts, mediumship, and somatic tools to help you move through emotional residue, to help you get really clear on what matters most to you, to help you clear your energetic field, and lead in a way that feels powerful, precise, and completely aligned with who you really are. Leadership can feel really lonely, but it doesn't have to. This isn't about doing more, it's about being more you. If you've been craving personalized support, intuitive insight, and energetic sovereignty, this is your invitation. Go to brendawinkle.com/coaching to learn more because your yes filled life, it starts the moment you say yes to yourself.
it's what you're showing, it's who you are being,
Hmm.
not what
Yes.
you want. And the universe responds to who you're being, not what you want. It's a vibration.
Yes, absolutely. So when we start to talk about vibrations and people say, okay, well, how am I going to find that vibration? I'd love to know how you coach somebody through that. Let's talk about any of those specific things that you mentioned, like romantic relationships. I can remember, well, I've had kind of a string of hits and misses. And one particular romantic partnership, I remember being at the dinner table and watching him take things out to the car in a laundry basket. And then when we were done with the meal, he was like, okay, bye. And I'm like, wait, what's happening right now? And it was so funny because there was two parts of my brain. One part in my brain was like, you're not seeing what you think you're seeing. That just cannot possibly be true that this person is leaving in the middle of dinner.
Oh my
And
God.
my body was like, I think that this guy is breaking up with me. And
Yeah.
I think I'm really happy about it. And
Nice. Well, that's good.
yeah, but it was so interesting because this predated any of my personal development work.
Yeah.
But even thinking about like allowing somebody who would do that into my life, it
Mm.
makes me realize how much I had a worthiness issue and didn't know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they didn't know it. That's the thing. You don't know until you know. It's not in your awareness, it's in your blind spot. And it's based on our programming. It's based on different factors of our programming. From the moment we are conceived in our mother's womb, we are receiving her set of programming, whatever that might be,
Mhm.
right? Good or bad. And then we're born and we receive this whole other set of conditioning. Especially for women, I mean, men also have their fair share, but for women, it's this really loud, there's something wrong with you, you are not enough, and the answer is outside of you.
Mhm.
And so when we're sitting in that consciousness, how are we going to know? We're
That's right.
blind, and then we're shown in movies, oh, look, true love, and this guy, and it comes white knight comes and saves the princess, and blah 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 blah. So there's more programming. So we're
Hmm.
going
Hmm.
into it thinking that that's what we're getting, but we have no self-awareness, we have no self-worth, we have no self-love. How are we going to be able to actually experience the real thing when that's not what we're operating from?
I love that. And when you say what we're operating from, it makes me think of a computer. It's
Mhm.
like you can't operate Microsoft Word on a computer that doesn't have Microsoft Word downloaded on it.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like, and computer's a great analogy because again, programming. You can upload certain programs, certain software, certain apps, and the computer will run accordingly, right? And you can delete those and upload new ones. Like we are capable of that. We are capable of
Absolutely.
deleting our old programming. And that's the biggest thing I teach is how to release that old programming in order to come fully into your power.
I love this. So, how do you guide somebody through the awareness phase of we have these beliefs running in the background that aren't serving you?
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the person. It really depends on the person. It's not a one size fits all approach. That being said, we have created a course that is more of a one size fits all approach that takes people through different phases of wounding and programming and whatnot to be able to come out victorious on the other side. But when somebody comes in that type of consciousness, the most important thing is truth. No one has been honest with them from a space of pure, unconditional love.
Mhm.
I am not judging them. I'm not telling them they're wrong. I'm not telling them you need to leave. I'm not telling them any of that. I'm hearing everything, allowing everything, and then reflecting back with pure love in my heart. So this is what you're settling for. So this is what this guy is doing. So this is the type of relationship you've called in. Is that what your intention was? Just the right way of asking certain questions for them to be able to begin to go, oh, oh, yeah, like because they already know the truth.
Yes,
They already know.
absolutely.
They
Hmm.
know. I'm just bringing it to their attention because nobody else has done it in that type of way. Maybe their parent or their best friend is sitting there going, "What the hell are you doing? This person's a loser. You need to leave." Blah 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 blah. But no one's going to hear that. You're
That's
not going to.
right.
You have to say it from a space of full compassion and pure love because there's a reason they are there
You
and that
know,
they
you're reminding me of my own story. In 2007, there was a woman who called me. And we had spent the day together. I was working as a Mary Kay sales director at the time, and we were setting up this big event in a Holiday Inn for our regional consultants. And at the time, she was just under five. My 5 year old, she's 23 now, but my under 5 year old was there with her like pretty ponies, and I thought it was an amazing day. And so when I got home that night and the phone rang, and it was this woman. I was shocked when she said, "What else are you going to let him take away from you?" And I
Mm,
said, "I don't know what you're talking about."
mm,
And she said, "Yeah, you do. And the reason I know that is I lived in a house like yours."
mm.
She said, "It's not what you are saying, it's what you are not saying that's
Nice.
giving me all the clues." And if that woman hadn't had the courage to say those things to me, I would not be here today in this way.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
I love that you highlight it's about asking the question, is this what you intended? Is this what you really wanted? And then also to give permission to say, hey, just because you're in it doesn't mean you A, have to stay in that situation, or
Yeah.
B, have to like it. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you if you don't like it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I also think a big part of it is relatability. When I'm sitting with a client and I share my story, where I came from, what I've been through, what I've put up with, what all of those things. And they're seeing on the other side of that now a very loud, proud, powerful woman. They see it's possible.
Hmm.
I think that's really, really important because we aren't shown enough of that. The symbols and the leaders, the women leaders that we have, there isn't enough of that real divine feminine energy.
Mm,
right? There's a lot of women in their wounded feminine and their
mhm,
wounded masculine.
mhm.
There's a lot of all of that happening. So I think an example of what's possible is very, very helpful in these situations.
Agreed. Let's talk about the divine feminine.
Yay, my favorite topic.
Let's explore and explain the divine feminine for a listener who's brand new to the concept of the divine feminine.
Oh my gosh, if you're brand new to the concept, welcome because it is so glorious. I remember when I first discovered her, I was like, where have you been my whole life? This is exactly what I've been searching for.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that the divine feminine is the most authentically empowered aspect of self, but she is also a collective consciousness. And the way that she shows up in the world is fully intentional. She trusts herself, she's aligned, she receives fully. She has no blocks to receiving. She leads from love, she leads from her heart. That being said, she has extremely strong boundaries. Nobody can mess with her. She
Mm-hmm.
follows her intuition. Her intuition is her compass. She does not deny her intuition, no matter what her ego or her mind might say. She stands strong and firm in her intuition. She finds strength in her vulnerability. A lot of women are afraid of showing that side of them, and understandably so. But there is so much power, strength, and inspiration in our vulnerability. She believes in community over competition. So the sister wound, which we can commonly call it, the
Mm-hmm.
jealousy and the comparison and energy and looking at other women of why does she have that or how come she looks like that? None of that exists.
Mm-hmm.
None of that exists. In the divine feminine consciousness, she just sees a fellow sister. She uplifts wherever she goes, and she's empowered and empowers others. She speaks and knows her truth like just liquid gold.
Mm,
Liquid gold coming out of her mouth. She knows who she is and she knows how to speak her truth. And in her consciousness, wounding ceases to exist. It doesn't exist.
that's right.
None of
That's
it.
right. And
You're just powerful.
just powerful. And I want to highlight two things. One thing is something you did not say. You didn't reference any part of the masculine in the divine feminine. It was about the feminine. And I love that because it's my belief that we need the gifted and the divine of both masculine and feminine, and both can complement each other
Yeah,
and build upon each other. And I just wanted to really highlight that you can be in the divine feminine without making it mean anything about the masculine.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the masculine is also really, really important, right?
Absolutely.
Feminine is the flow and the masculine is the structure. And we, of course, have both.
Right.
I've I've been through my own phases where I'm so in my feminine that I completely lose structure and like nothing gets done.
Yeah,
You
I've
know?
been there.
And sometimes it's fun. But we need both. And not just internally, but externally. Like men need women and women need men. This
That's
is this
right.
is this is why we're both created for a reason. And we help each other, we uplift one another. And the feminine is so incredibly powerful that when she is truly in her divinity, she can uplift the masculine. Not that that's her responsibility, but her energy is so powerful that she can just lift him
Mhm.
up and remind him of who he is.
I love that. I love that. And the second thread I wanted to pull in all of this is something really important you said about the divine feminine trusting her intuition above everything. And I want to be really overt and say many times the structured mind, your mental field, will not agree with your intuition.
Right, right. Absolutely. That is really, really important. And especially in a world where they keep telling us trust the science and like how can you prove that, and like these are all questions that become programmed in us. There are things that I know and that haven't been proved, and I'm going to trust me
Hmm.
before some funded study. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Well,
always
and
going to
what
trust myself first.
yes, absolutely. And let's not ignore the fact that we don't even have funded studies about women at this point in the United States. So
No, for
so
sure.
we are going to have to rely on this intuitive knowing until or unless that were to shift.
Absolutely. And back in the day, before religion came into the world and kind of skewed things toward a masculine structure, women were the oracles. The kings and the queens, the emperors and the empresses would work together. The king would come to the queen and say, "What should I do? What do you see? What do you feel?" Is
Mm,
that anything that can be proven? No. This is the oracle of the feminine. She's the being connected to the void.
that's right.
It is so powerful. And no one's gonna come, he wasn't gonna come and be like, okay, prove it. No. This is a new, when I say new, it's in the past few thousand years of needing to prove things because they have completely skewed the structure of power being outside of us, beginning with God being outside of us,
Mhm.
right? Like everything is beyond us. There is nothing within me. Therefore, I don't trust me and I trust what I am told.
And that's a recipe for oppression.
Exactly. And that's why we have so much of it in the world.
Mhm.
So much of it.
I believe that. And it has doubled my passion for teaching women in particular how to trust their intuition. Because when we can lead through our own intuitive knowing, just got the confirmation of my sound changed, my ears. When we can lead people to that intuitive knowing, then we are more connected to the divine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we are then surrendered and we become a magnet. You're in this space of alignment and then you're led to your next thing instead of trying to force things into fruition or instead of trying to make things happen. Things just happen because you're in that vibration being connected to the divine because you are the divine.
Mhm. That's right.
You're working with it. You're working with all the external and internal forces.
I love that. I would call that co-creation.
Yes, good word.
Yeah, I love it. So for somebody who's like, okay, I'm curious, I'd like to get started in accessing my divine feminine,
Yeah.
what would you invite them to try?
So I have a three-step process that I really like to follow with these kinds of things. Um, the first part of it is connecting to your inner child, actually, because the inner child is the one who has the trauma, who has the beliefs, who has the programming, and all of those things. So you want to begin a consistent inner child practice to see where she's at. Are you even connected to her? Is she in hiding? Is she ready to give you information? Does she not trust you yet? Like that, and it takes time, it takes
Mhm.
discipline, and it takes practice. But any stage of healing that you're at, whether you want to connect to your divine feminine or heal childhood trauma, inner child work is critical and essential. So that's
Agreed.
one.
Hmm.
The next part of it is channeling your higher self, sitting in meditation, connecting to your God self. Because in that energy, you begin to feel how big you are and you begin to receive. Like when I first started meditating, I don't even know how long ago, over a decade ago, the meditation I would do was higher self, connecting to my higher self. And even at that time, when I was so not okay, I would receive answers. And this is
Hmm.
before I knew I was intuitive. This is before I cleaned my channel. This is before everything. I was on prescription medications. I was drinking. I was doing all the things. but I would still be able to get either a one word or an energy or something to remind myself of my holiness, right? And
Mhm.
that's really powerful. The most important part is channeling your divine feminine, sitting in meditation, calling her energy forward. And if you're in this work, you will feel her. She shows up. She is powerful. She is unapologetic, and
Mhm.
she shows up like this big force. And you speak to her. You bring her all of your concerns. You bring her all of your worries. You ask her, how do I begin to embody you? Show me. What do I need to do? How do I show up today? Make it a daily practice. Speak to her every day and every moment before walking into a room. How does my divine feminine feel? Am I connected to her? Making sure you're integrated with that. With time, it becomes like second nature.
Mhm. I love
It's,
this.
yeah.
It's really powerful. I discovered meditation by accident. I didn't know what it was. In fact, a lot of things in my life have happened by accident, just like synchronicities. But it was the year before I had my daughter. So it would have been like 2000.
Mm,
And I was teaching and I was exhausted. And I would come home from school and I would lay on the couch and I was like, I just know there has to be something bigger than me out there. There has
mm,
to be something. And so I didn't identify as religious, although I was raised as a Christian. So I knew the language of Christianity, even though I didn't necessarily subscribe to some of the patriarchal beliefs of Christianity. And I would just lay on the couch and I would say, let go and let God and let
mm.
go and let God. And I would just like breathe in one, breathe out the other. And then about a year later, Oprah Winfrey was talking about meditation. And I was like, wait a minute, I think that might be that thing I'm doing. Uh,
I love that.
and you're right that that is such an important part of starting is just getting clear with who you are. And to your point about inner child work, that is a big part of any work that I do with clients because if we're ignoring the inner child, we have an 8-year-old sitting at the boardroom table if we're not doing that inner child work. So I love that you
100%.
highlight that.
It is everything. It is everything. Inner child work. Like if you're sitting there channeling your divine feminine, but like you said, your 8-year-old isn't tamed, how is that going to serve anyone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be like a tantrum holding just, unhealed little girl. And that's not gonna work for anybody. I always say that, adults are like little kids in big people bodies.
That's right. After
And that's
teaching
what,
for 26 years, I would say absolutely 100% right.
right? You probably know better than anyone. Yeah, and the inner child work is like I have healed the darkest abuse through inner child work. That's
Same.
what did it. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it will heal anything if you really are diligent with it and consistent with it. There is no like magical answer of do this and but you do this consistently and it will get cleared from your system.
I couldn't agree more. That is absolutely true. And I was trained in multiple healing modalities and had experienced them for years before doing any inner child work because I didn't understand what it was. I didn't know somebody who could help me with it. And then when I was going through my breathwork certification and then my somatic coaching certification, a lot of it is rooted in inner child work. And it was the first experience that I had, and my healing like 10x'd. And was it challenging at times? Yes, like laying on the bathroom floor crying, challenging a couple of times. But the healing has been so freeing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is the answer is freedom. Why go into the pain? Because on the other side of it, you will be free.
That's right.
And we're walking around like prisoners of our own minds, of our own experiences, of our own wounding. And we keep calling in experiences that are painful, filled with betrayal, because we aren't allowing ourselves to heal and we are avoiding going into the abyss, so to say, or into the pain. But when you do go into it, you become free.
That's right. That's right. That's a mic drop moment right there. When you go into the pain and you allow it to move through you, you are free.
And a feeling fully felt lasts only 90 seconds.
Amen. That's right.
And
That's
it's
right.
hard to feel it fully. Like you feel like you're dying in that moment where you're
That's right.
fully feeling that feeling. When you're fully feeling it, you're like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna die. Because it is, it's an ego death, right? There's a part of
Mhm.
you that is dying and it feels so difficult. But once it's done, you're like, oh, I'm alive. Oh, I'm okay. Oh, I feel better.
That's
It's a
right.
beautiful process.
I love that you name that because, when you're a kid, we do flow through our emotions. And so, we could be very upset in the playground, like despondently upset in the playground. And then something would happen and we would wipe our tears and go on with the rest of our day. And,
Yeah.
I think that there's so much beauty in just naming that, yeah, when you let it flow, it flows. And if you don't let it flow, it runs in the background. I compare it to like the oven vent fan. It's like
Mm.
that low level static in the background that you don't realize is causing you distress until you feel like you're going to crawl out of your skin because you just need it to be quiet. It's like that.
Good analogy. I love
So, can you
it.
tell us a little bit about how people can connect with you, how they can learn more about what you do, and how they can work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things. My business partner and we're launching a really beautiful 8-week program the day that I think this episode is released.
That's so
And there
fun.
will be, I know, I love it. This is, synchronicities. Um, it's an 8-week program that it'll be available for enrollment another week following the day that it launches, and it's called Fuck Your Programming.
Ooh, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And it is a revolutionary system for unlearning self-doubt. So to really help you come into your full trust into that divine feminine energy and release all of these shackles of I don't know and unworthiness and anxiety and all of that stuff. So that's a really beautiful way and a really powerful way to get into this type of work. I highly recommend it. And I'll be offering a link, of course. And I'm offering anyone who listens to this episode 50% off of the course.
Oh my gosh, that's so generous,
Yeah.
Cam. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, of course. Yeah. I mean, we really want this work out there. It's really, really important. We really believe in this method that we've created. And we want as many women as possible to benefit from it and to be able to do this work. It's really, really beautiful. So that would be the way that I recommend. And then um our website, Divinus Lux, is where we have a lot of our information and all of our different programs and offerings. And I'm very active on Instagram at Cam_Kashani as well. And I'll also be offering a free Divine Feminine guide to anyone in exchange for an email.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I can't wait to sign up.
Yay.
This is amazing. So, as we kind of come to a close and we wrap things up, what are some parting thoughts that you might like to offer?
There's nothing more important than investing in yourself.
Hmm.
Nothing. I
Hmm.
mean, there is, when we're doing this work, there are so many excuses that can come forward. There's so many things you can say. I was a single mom for 8 years and I did the work. And there is no excuse. If you don't have the money, if you really put your effort into it, you'll manifest it. When you are that powerful, you can call in whatever you need to be able to take you there. I always did. Somehow I always had what I needed for my healing journey, always. No matter how much something cost, no matter how long something took, whether I needed babysitters for the kids, whatever I needed, it always showed up for me. It's a matter of dedicating yourself and to yourself. It's a
Hmm.
matter of radical self-love. I love myself way too much to make any excuse not to show up, from investing in myself with money to time, energy, whatever it might be. That would be my number one thing. And also, don't ever give up. I can't tell you how many times it was so hard for me, and I'm sure for you as well, where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. This is too hard. This is too much. I'm feeling the weight of the world all at the same time. This is so intense. How am I supposed to do this? Nobody else is doing this. How come no one else is dealing with all this? Like all these different things come up for you, but you push through those really difficult times. On the other side of that is such glory, is such beauty, and you just shifted your vibration and you helped humanity move forward as well. So
Mm.
stick to it, stick to it, stick to it, stick to yourself more than anything. Invest in yourself, love yourself, unreasonable self-love, and take whatever step is needed.
I love that, unreasonable self-love. I agree with everything that you said. And when you invest in yourself, it is the only investment you can actually control.
Yeah,
And it's 100% or more going to return on investment if you do the
yeah,
work. I
yeah,
love that. Oh my
exactly.
gosh. Cam, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I've had a blast. Thank you so much. Beautiful conversation.
When I was a choir director, one of the things that happened right before every concert was that I would either lose my voice or develop some hoarseness. What I didn't know at that time was that I was actually experiencing a chakra imbalance. Chakras are the energy centers inside your body. And if you have a chakra imbalance, you might be feeling scattered or heavy or second guessing your intuition. Maybe you have stomach upset, or maybe like when I was a choir director, you'll notice that it's not only difficult for you to speak your truth, but you'll actually lose your voice. Your energy and your chakras are always speaking to you. They are the energy system that governs the body. And they are constantly in flux, responding to the foods that you eat, the experiences that you're having, the thoughts that you're thinking, and the feelings that you have. And that's why learning how to support and balance your chakras can be a total game changer. Because when you know how to identify a chakra imbalance and how to shift it, it's like you have just gotten the key to the biggest unlock you've ever had. And that's why I created Clear Your Energy, Trust Your Intuition, a 3-day live chakra workshop for people who are ready to connect to their own energy and power. You'll learn exactly where your energy might be leaking, whether that's blocked or overwhelmed or actually an energy leak, so that you can clear it, so that you can plug the energy leaks and feel more like yourself again, so you can trust yourself more deeply. We're going to explore all 7 chakras from your root, where you ground into stability, to your heart, where you give and receive love, to your third eye, where your intuition already knows the way. We're going to meet May 20th through 22nd live on Zoom from 5:30 p.m. Pacific to 7 p.m. Pacific each day. And you're going to have a replay for 30 days after the workshop. Your investment is $111. If you're ready to stop absorbing everything and start leading from a place of true alignment, this is your next yes. Save your seat at brendawinkle.com/chakra. I cannot wait to meet you on the inside. I really enjoyed that conversation with Cam, and I hope that you did as well. One of the things that I really took away from this conversation was the ways that the divine feminine can show up in our daily life, fostering a community and cooperation, collaboration, and receptivity. I loved all of that. And I also was really thinking about when she talked about the sister wound being, part of how that can show up for us being like competitive with women. And it just really struck me how important this work is. So go give Cam a follow. I'm putting all of her links in the show notes. And please come check out the chakra course. See if it's for you. You can learn more by clicking the link in the show notes or going to brendawinkle.com/chakra. And I'm so, so, so excited because the doors are opening again for your Yes Filled Life, my group coaching program in July. You can learn more by going to brendawinkle.com/your Yes Filled Life, all lowercase, all one word. And This will probably be the last time this program opens its doors in this way. So, if this has been something that you've been curious about, or if you've been looking for additional support, or you want to join a community of other women and heal those wounds, come join us. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, would you please consider giving the podcast a rating and review wherever you're listening? Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now. Until next time.